Hello, welcome. I'm trying to figure out how to pin a comment in real time. Hi, welcome to another version of show. Aurora, can you speak? Yes, I don't know. I had 47 thoughts running through my head, and I'm currently stuck on the fact that pinning a comment should be easy, and I can't figure out how to do it. Put this on the list of things that I shouldn't try and figure out literally 30 seconds before going live. Um, as I am getting settled, as we are getting settled, let me know where you're coming in from, what you are sipping on this evening. Tonight, in my glass, you are going to see Rust Bucket Red from one of my favorite local breweries. Decent beer. I know some folks like tea in the evening, some folks like cocoa. I have absolutely no show notes for this week. I thought it was just going to be a good week for us to well, to gather together, especially if you're from Maine, and just be together for a little while, just on the internet. I know there's been a ton of folks out in the streets. Thank you. Thank you for getting out there. I always feel awful. I always feel like I am not out there enough and I'm not doing enough. So let this be a reminder that it's okay to take care of yourself. What is it? I've told this to so many of my friends lately. If you do not put your own oxygen mask on, you cannot help others with theirs. So, if you can, if you are privileged enough to be able to take breaks and rest and restore as we navigate through this insanity, um, you need to do that. You need to do that for yourself, for your neighbors, for all of us, because we need to be fresh for the fight, because this fight isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So, welcome. It's so good to have you here. It is so good to be seeing what I am seeing. Again, I don't have set notes for tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro. We are going to chat together. We're going to hang out together. I'm going to talk a little bit about why I've been kind of quiet this week. And we'll share, and we will go from there. But first, I'm so glad you're here. Let me go ahead and roll that intro. Nope, that's not what I here, let me hit the wrong button first, then we'll roll the intro. Welcome to Bark a Lot with the Aurora H. White. I'm a legal biller by trade, opinionated law and politics nerd by default. I'm here to break down the political, pop culture, and court headlines that we're all talking about. We value facts, thoughtful discussion, and salty language, so whether you're a fellow law nerd, a political junkie, or just looking for a little hope in today's crazy world, you're in the right place. Tap that subscribe button, pull up your soapbox, and let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Maine. If you are new, welcome. I'm Aurora. Most of what you should know, you got in that intro there. Just a reminder as far as comments, chat, all of that. We lead with kindness. We lead with kindness here. Kindness first. And we don't dox, we don't harass, we don't do any of that, even when it's tempting, because do we have temptation this week? Do we have temptation this week? This has been, so for those of you who maybe don't know, Maine is not at all used to being in the spotlight. We're not used to being at the center of the ring in the circus. No, we are quite happy most of the time to have people realize we exist for approximately 3 to 5 months out of the year, where they come in and we get annoyed and they go home. And that is how we are used to rolling. Um, this does not extend to immigrants coming to Maine. It's it's a very interesting welcome mat that Maine tends to roll out for folks who are from other places. Um, and I'm not saying all of Maine. I am not saying all of Maine at all. I will try to get to that because I do want to touch on it. But in general, we Mainers are not used to things like CNN moderating a Senate debate for our state. That is not a thing that we are used to. We are used to um most people don't know where we are, or they think we are South Canada or a suburb of Boston. That's kind of the extent of it, and we are generally content to be there. And for the last 5 months or so, um the eyes of the nation have been on us, but in a very superficial and periphery way. Um, People are just looking at headlines, and they're not actually listening to the depth of what Maine has to tell them. And it came to a point earlier this week when Mr. Guerrero was murdered by an ICE agent. And we seem to know who the person is that killed Mr. Guerrero. I keep going back and forth of like trying to avoid using words that the algorithm doesn't like. But the fact of the matter is, from where I stand, from everything I have seen, it was murder. It was murder done at the hands of law enforcement. And I put that in quotes because, well, I'm old enough to remember a time before ICE. And I remember ICE getting formed, and it was they didn't take the best and the brightest from the law enforcement community. They took folks with racial bias, to put it in the most diplomatic way, right from the outset. And in the last year and a half, it's only gotten worse. But make no mistake, I mean, if we look at what is happening with the Karen Reed case, you can see that racism, that deep, deep racism filters through in a lot of law enforcement up here. And it's something to be aware of. What happened in this state, though, was a young man, and to me, he is a young man because I realized I would have been a very young mom, but I am old enough to be this young man's mom. So, and he was murdered in front of his toddler, which is just a level of pain for both his partner, his wife, and his child that no one should have to experience. You shouldn't have to experience that if it's an illness. You sure as shit shouldn't have to experience it when it is violence that is sanctioned on some level by the government that claims to want to protect you. And I'm going to be real with you. I try to do everything that I can. I always feel like I can't do enough to support my community and support the people out there. And this one, I also do pretty well compartmentalizing. This one broke me. And I don't know if that was a trifecta or what, because for me, the first one of these things that hit the news that really felt like it had a direct impact. And the first time I think I started looking at the news kind of with a little bit of side eye to try to side eye is maybe not the right word. The first time that something like this happened, where it was brought to my attention that what you see in the papers isn't always what's happening on the ground, was Newtown. And when the Sandy Hook shooting happened, I have dear friends in that area, some of whom are still there, some of whom have moved away. But I was raised with people who lived in that area. I've known folks my whole life, um, that live in the Newtown, Sandy Hook area of Connecticut, and there are dear friends that worked in and around the school when that happened, and so that was one of the first times where the people that when I was reaching out to people and talking with people about what was going on in town, I was talking to people who lived there, not reporters, but people who actually lived there. Um, and what I was hearing wasn't always what I was seeing in the headlines. And that's a tough spot. And then the world is on fire, and I always feel like I can't do quite enough. Um, and then the whole deal with the state Senate race and being amongst those that has a lot of questions still about the situation with Plattner and Rathicot, and I do still have a lot of questions. I'm not gonna dive into that a whole lot tonight. But with that, there were a lot of national creators, a lot of big level creators. None of the ones I've mentioned, by the way. I have linked to the ones who have not pissed me off in the description of this video. But there were a lot of national creators for months that called Mainers stupid, called us heartless, called us all sorts of things leading up to this Senate race. And mind you, I wasn't in the town I am in now, but I had family here when the Lewiston shooting happened. So again, I was talking with people who are here, who were on the ground, who like I would be on the phone with a friend and hear the helicopter fly over when that was happening. And then with what happened in Biddeford this week, all of the facts of the case, everything just stacked up. And this is one of the first times for me where I sat there scrolling threads and seeing these headlines, seeing certain national creators basically indicate that Maine deserved it. They didn't come so far as to say that, but that was the vibe. And I will be honest, for me, I just started crying that night. It feels like there's been so much because for a lot of folks, I don't know if you know what's been going on here since January, but like I have not had to deal with it yet, touch wood, but I have friends in town who have had people they know and have known for a while just vanish. And we know that they vanished because of ice, and we know that they are probably at the facility in Scarborough, but do we know that for sure? I don't know. It also feels kind of rude calling it a facility. They are concentration camps. Um, as far as I am concerned, everything I have heard about them, they are concentration camps, and we do have one in Maine. And so since January, people in Maine have been speaking out. There have been bridge protests every week. There has been a weekly protest that fluctuates in size, but We have protests in Monument Square in Portland. We've had a bunch of protests in the town that I live in. I have gone to several of them. It's not just been the No Kings, although we've had that as well. We have had ICE protests. And so I think for me, let me know how you feel, Maine, but for me, having the bloodshed come to our doorstep with so much of the national voice still treating us like we are backwoods hicks that don't know any better. And while all of this is happening, we have this Senate race do-over squabble insanity that is trying to happen. So that's mixed in, which means the politicians are extra politician-y because they're trying to do the right thing by going to the community and talking to people. But some of them just don't seem equipped for that they don't seem equipped for that sort of mid-level community building to me. So that's been weird. And meanwhile, huge shout out to the folks who have come up, who have gotten a spotlight on this in a way that has not been condescending and annoying. Big shout out to you guys. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Senator Ed Markey, who came up from Massachusetts to inspect the facility. I saw that video today, the Scarborough facility today. He didn't have a great report. I would like to learn more about that. But yeah, so it has been. Oh, and what is it? Mom said there was a Politico article that came out, I think this week, where they called us the Granite State. Politico, honey, that's fucking New Hampshire. We are not the Granite State. Do not mix us in with the redheaded stepchild of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. Maine and Vermont, we get along. We're siblings. We love each other. Everything is great. New Hampshire. Now, if you come for New Hampshire National, folks, we will come for you. Like this is how the New England sibling rivalry plays out. We, as New England, dislike New Hampshire and we dislike Connecticut. However, if you are not a New Englander and you aim at either of them, we will suddenly band together and all be family. Okay, this is how this works. I've explained it before. I will continue to explain it. Yes, okay. It was Politico that called us the Granite State. No. Nope. We're not the Granite State. Please don't ever do that to us again. So, but how do I then trust your headline if you can't? That is literally a 2-second Google. That's asking somebody in your office, because you know what? You have somebody in your office who has those things just in their head. But that is quite literally a 2-second fact check on yourself. And if Politico couldn't give a 2-second fact check on what state Maine is, and if we are in fact the Granite State, we are not. We are the Pine Tree State, my friends. Get it right. Or I'll just sing the 16 Counties song at you until you wish you had never met anybody from Maine. Mainers know. Mainers know what kind of a threat that is. Great. And I am neurospicy and just got that stuck in my head. Good job, Aurora. Good job. Oh, and this week, the Contrarian just riffed on all national fingerprinting and labeling about Maine, and that was just tiring. I Y'all, if you're not from Maine, can you tell me, is this what happens when you see headlines from your state? Because at this point, like, I don't trust anything about Texas unless I hear it from a Texan. I don't trust anything about California unless I hear it from a Californian. Finger pointing. There we go. Not fingerprinting, finger pointing. Um, but like, I it's really disheartening to me that at this point I've had to mute a lot of people that I didn't have to mute before, and I am this close to unsubscribing from people I have followed for years because they also haven't been able to take the time to listen to anybody. It's why I shout out it's why in the description of this video I'm shouting out Jolly Good Ginger, who walked the line. He did walk the line a little bit with the Plattner stuff. But here's the thing. He is physically here in this state. He is talking to people. He is talking to our immigrant community. He is talking to the people at the protests and the rallies. He has helped driving people to those protests and rallies. And in doing that, I know us, I know our state. Just by getting his coffee in the morning or tea, I don't know what his morning routine is. He is interacting with enough real people around here that are not necessarily in the little echo chamber. So I'm sure he is getting a different view of the state. Now, it's still a view through that lens and things like that, but that is something we need to I applaud that because from what I have seen, it does seem like he is listening to Mainers as opposed to telling us what we should think. I am not going to name everybody because I need to go follow some of them. There's another person that Jolly knows well, another veteran. I know his face, but I can't think of his handle off the top of my head. He's another one who's been here and been kind and done amazing things, along with Amanda McGonigal, who is the human behind the Cats on the Couch account. And they have come up, they have put their money towards the Biddeford community. They've talked with Mainers, they've gotten the words out. And I appreciate that because I have not seen, maybe it's just my algorithm, but I haven't seen them have that condescending attitude, especially since they have been in Maine. What I've seen from them since they've been here has just been support. They have reached a point with their platform where they can afford to give back and support our community, and for that we thank you. Because why is it important to find community in the midst of all of the fight? Why is it important to find the community? Because things like this don't happen when we take care of each other. When we remember that we take care of each other, and this is why we see so many people fighting for progressive values, when your health is covered, when your education is good, when your mental health is taken care of, when you do not have to worry about putting food on the table or getting prescription medicine, when those sorts of things are covered, actual crime, things that are actual crimes, most of them are out of desperation. Most of them spring from desperate times. So when you build bigger cushions, when you put safeguards in place so that people don't have to work until they literally drop, um, you start to see a lot of crime just disappear. Um, and instead, we have a regime that wants to keep everybody desperate, and they wanna keep everybody afraid, and they want to keep us afraid of each other, and they want to keep us apart. So, they I don't know if they know what I think with this incident, they got more than they bargained for because we've learned from Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and please forgive me, I cannot remember the man's name, um, in Houston, who also had this happen to them. This isn't okay, and we need to start prosecuting the people who are doing these things. I know the government doesn't want to because in a way, this particular regime doesn't seem to care. In fact, if anything, it helps them further this particular goal, um, which is brought squarely to light. Chat, let me know. I know I try really hard not to name call, but I said this once and it stuck. Warning, I am about to name call. I feel like he deserves it because there has been so many of his policies that have actively harmed people that I feel like a little light mocking is appropriate, but I struggle with that because I try and be a better person, but also Stephen Miller. I called him earlier tonight the sentient penis. Um, and in part in honor of Cats on the Couch, who has called JD Vance a sentient jar of mayonnaise. And that description fits for JD Vance. And I found myself when Stephen Miller was talking, thinking it looks like if South Park made a character that was a sentient penis, that it would be Stephen Miller. And he had a speech recently. I have watched this much of it. If you have not watched it and you feel like you need to, I can pull it up and we can go through it together. If, however, you would like tonight to just be you, me, our glasses, the pets, and just being together and being with each other, I'm good with that too. Because, I'm in a squirrel swoop because I'm about to squirrel. I squirreled. And then, you know what? If we don't want to deal with it, don't worry. I will set it aside and we will come back to it later. We don't need to. We don't need to do that to ourselves tonight. If you want to, I got you. I will take care of you. I'll pull it up. We will go through it together. But my squirrel moment. Uh, Politics, pop culture, and court. That's what I wanted to talk about. And then politics just went unhinged at a level that not even Bravo can keep up with. And I sit here every week and I'm like, guys, I, can we talk about stupid rich people getting married? Or how about Practical Magic 2 is happening and I cannot wait and I'm super excited. Or the amount of court things we have to catch up on. Like guys, the amount of court stuff just in the Karen Reed trial. Never mind any of the other things that I have wanted to cover. But no, this regime keeps doing stuff that people are dying. I feel like I need to talk about it because I don't have money to throw at the problem at the moment. I wish I did. But at the moment, I do not have the spare funds to throw at the problem. I don't have certain things in my grasp that I can do. All I have is this. So I feel like I need to do this. But good God, I just want to have a little fun sometimes. Girls just want to have fun. Um, and this is tiring and they keep being nasty. And then I keep feeling like I need to shout about it because I'm from Maine and I'm one of the only folks from Maine that I see on these platforms. That Maine newsroom is great. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like actual just commentary. Um, and I just if you ever have a thing and you're just like like Aurora, can we bark about literally anything but politics? I got you. I have a list a mile long of things that we can go over. If we wanna take, like, a month off, I will try that. I'm a little afraid to. Can we wait until John Oliver is back? Because I feel like if I stop talking about politics and John Oliver was not doing his weekly show, um, I don't know. The alternate universe would suddenly crash into ours, or Doc would appear, but Marty would be on, like, pro Biff Tannen. I feel like things would just get worse. So, um, otherwise, I'm gonna keep coming and talking with you and chatting with you about whatever insane thing, but good lord, I so want a night where we just talk about TV and things like that. I don't know, chat. You let me know because I am exhausted. I am exhausted. All right, I'm going to doggy swoop and then chat, let me know. Are we am I pulling up the sentient penis or are we leaving him in his little YouTube box and we will like do we need to get through it together or do we just need to understand that he has made statements that indicate that he's coming for the rest of basically it's just setting it up. Let me paraphrase from what little of the speech I've seen or been able to stomach because that may be more I'll give you the TLDR of what I was able to garner from what of the speech I was able to watch. TLDR of the portions of the Stephen Miller speech that I was able to get. They don't care about the color of your skin or your race anymore. If you are not a loyalist, they would also like to put you in a concentration camp. That's basically which we knew was coming. This is not a surprise to me. I don't think it's a surprise to any of you. All right, chat is saying that we do not give Miller any airtime, which is fair. Which is fair. I have a really hard time looking at him. Really in general. And let's keep in mind for my feminists out there, let us keep in mind that his wife is worse than him. His wife is worse than him. All right. Folks, this is a short one tonight. I just mostly wanted to check in with community, let you know I'm here. I have been I did somewhat retreat this week into doing schoolwork, doing my day job, doing those sorts of things. But I appreciate having all of you here. Um, double evil incarnate. That is absolutely Stephen Miller. Like Stephen Miller reaches a level. Stephen and Katie Miller I don't know what's gonna happen to like, if you believe in heaven and hell and all that, like, if you believe in God and the devil, that's a whole different show. Um, I don't th to my mind, they are so evil and awful I don't know what's gonna happen to them in the afterlife because I don't really think they're sure not going to the good place. I don't think the bad place will take them. Like, I I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just get yeeted into the sun, and I have no idea. Um, but yeah, I mean, the TLDR of it is anybody who is left, they wanna come after you too. Um, I'm realizing I'm avoiding talking about what is happening in Maine now. So, okay, swoop. One more swoop, one more quick coverage. Then I will say goodnight. So the Maine Democratic Party this weekend is barreling towards the picking of the new candidate. Um, we will see how that goes. You can tell. My face has subtitles. I have thoughts. I'm not gonna dive into those thoughts on this particular show because it doesn't feel like it does any service to anybody in the Biddeford community. And my mission tonight is community, not all of that. But I will say the Maine Democratic Party is trying to find a new Senate candidate. Anybody who is unenrolled is not, i.e., an independent, is not a part of this process because you have to be a registered Democrat to be a part of this process, which does make sense. It is for the Democratic thing. It does make sense. The problem is there are a ton of people like myself that are unenrolled, that are independent voters that always side with or generally side with the Democrats. And we would like to have our voices heard on some level too. And it definitely feels like that may not happen. I will go into more details of all of this once things have actually happened and we have gone through some of that. Chat, do let me know if you want me to cover whatever the next debate is or if we want to look at this first debate. I had to put it on 1.5 speed and listen to it in the car when I couldn't do anything to turn it off. That was how I got through it. And I'm a politics nerd, mind you, but that was how I got through it. Anyway, um yes. Yes. This is the thing. A third of Mainers are independents, and we tend to be the ones who span that big group where a lot of us have friends who voted for Trump, but also voted for Plattner, and people like me who voted for Harris, but also voted for Plattner. And Plattner was the vote because of the community that got built around it. Yeah, independents are a huge, huge voice in Maine, and both sides definitely feel like they're trying more and more and more to shut independent voices out, which I do not love. I can go into bigger details at another point in time. But I will say that I don't love it. As an independent, I also would like my voice to be heard, and I have not felt like the Maine Dems are amenable to that. It feels more like they're using this to try and get more people enrolled in the Democratic Party. And that means that I've encountered more people who are looking to unenroll from the party entirely after this. If you can, if you are a registered Democrat and you can vote for your delegates, go vote for your delegates. Be involved in the process. Go to the Maine Dems website, follow them, like, figure that out, please, because people like me that are normally out there saying a lot of stuff, I can't be involved in the way that I would want to be involved because I'm not putting the D next to my name just because it's a requirement for this process, if that makes sense. Like I'm going to remain unenrolled until a party earns my wanting to have that brand connected to me. But until they earn that, I am not either. And that's where I'm going to land. On that note, I'm going to say I forgot, as I always do, to say, hey, do the like, subscribe, share, all the YouTubey things, all the social media stuff. Please do that. If you want to follow me during the week and my comments on things immediately, sometimes short videos, not always, but sometimes shorter videos midweek. Threads and Instagram are where I am the most. Usually I'm on Threads. That's where you'll see me commenting on stuff, posting my more unhinged thoughts when they pop into my head. But do all of the, do all the things, do all the subscribing things, all the things that keeps the algorithm gods happy, especially with a show like tonight where I used a whole lot of words that YouTube doesn't like. Let me know what you want me to cover in the future. Please, it will take a mere single vote to say no politics next week. Let's do something fun. Let's stick our heads in the sand and hide from the world so that we can recharge. I am, although fair warning, court doesn't always let you do that, but we have plenty of court cases to catch up on, plenty of filings to catch up on. And I have folks sending me stories from time to time as well. So any of those sorts of things, let me know. And otherwise, next week, I think we're going to have to catch up on, well, whatever happens in DC, because, we're still having war and the entire regime is still a shambles. We have one senator that we weren't expecting to die. We have another senator that we have been expecting to go to the great mystery, who instead is apparently being weekend at Bernie's until some magic deadline, which, if Mitch McConnell is in some vegetative and or dead state, and this is being hidden by his team and his family and all of that until I cannot remember the date off the top of my head. It's been a hell of a week. But this date that would effectively prevent democratic processes from happening in reasonable time. I will say that does strike me as honoring Mitch McConnell's dying political wish, I guess. I don't know. But the man is not seemingly conscious despite what they're putting out. It's I don't know. We don't know. Nobody's telling us what is happening. And what else? Oh, right. They drained the reflecting pool again. Trump doesn't understand how the reflecting pool is built. Trump did a speech the other day that was, aside from just being old man yells at clouds, was pretty much priming the nation for him saying that all of the elections for the midterms are rigged. Like they're trying to set the stage. We're in soft launch time before November. So that is so we're going to be seeing a whole lot of other things coming out of DC because this is what I've been seeing from JD Vance this week, Trump this week, Stephen Miller. They're soft launching a lot of things to see how much pushback they get. So, Democrats, push back. Okay? The numbers are clear. The polls are like Americans hate most of the things that are happening. So, push back. I don't care that you don't have the numbers. You'll get more numbers if you make a valid show of doing, I don't know, anything. Besides, I'm disappointed in you. Please. Anyway, thank you all for being here. You guys are all amazing. I appreciate your hanging with me. I hope you have a fantastic evening. If you are a delegate, if you end up being a delegate to this Maine caucus primary, whatever is happening, I beg you, please reach out to me. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I have questions. I have questions and I want answers. Anyway, chat, I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my evening as you should as well. Thank you for joining me. Do all the likey, subscribey things. And remember, I had to remind, I think I commented on one of Jolly's posts the other day when he was feeling run out. Remember to always, 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 if you can, if it is ever possible for you to put your own oxygen mask on first, do that and then help other people. Because if you can recharge, do recharge. This fight is long and we only get through it if we are all cycling through at different times so that and that way we can support each other, that way we can lift each other up. Find your community. Community is key. They hate when you have community, and I do mean everybody in power. Like this is not just the regime. They especially hate it, but every people in power want us fighting amongst ourselves. We want us feeling like we are more right or more wrong than another group. And we want, as long as we are arguing, they don't have to worry about us focusing on the actual problems. So, find your community, hug your community. This is the kind of thing that isn't just affecting Biddeford right now. It's not just affecting Maine right now or Houston or Minnesota. This is just what is starting to come through. And it's the beginning of it. So, but if we find our community and we find our friends and we stand together and we bark a lot together, they won't win and we can actually start to restore this. I do feel your happy, hopeful, Aurora's a pathological optimist thought for the evening. As Maine goes, so goes the nation. They poked the wrong state. And I think Maine fighting back is going to be a tipping point. You pissed off Maine, you pissed off Minnesota. Minnesota and Maine have very similar, from what I can tell, attitudes about all this. So, my friends, cheers. Stay salty. Stay salty, Maine. I will see you on the next one. As always, be well. Do good. I will see you out in the streets at some point. We will keep getting out in the streets. We are going to keep fighting. We're going to keep doing all of that. I will see you there. And remember to bark a lot while you're out there. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bark a Lot. Follow me on Threads and Insta at the Aurora H. White. That's where I post most frequently between shows. Hit that like button, connect with us, and remember to bark a lot. We will see you next time.